And welcome back to another installment of Swamp Talk Radio. I am your host, Gator Fan number 1, and with me is...
the Mayor of Goose Creek.
And we're back again, guys. We've got a few things we're going to talk about, upcoming games for you as far as, I guess we got Division 1 championship, you know, the road to the championship, and, and Division 2.
That's right. I mean, this is the road to Columbia this time of year, guys. I mean, it's one and done.
One and done, baby. Yeah, that's heard. As always, we are coming to you live from our studio here in Goose Creek. Like I said, we're going to go over round 2 matchups from Division 2 and Division 1, plus a breakdown of South Point's offensive, defense, stats, and, well, I mean, we can dive right into it. Oh, I was going to say, we got a new interactive screen to go on, too, also. As always, it's on South Carolina Prep Talk. That's scpreptalk.com. Basically, go down to the chat rooms at the bottom left-hand corner of the page. Click on that and just click to enter the room, and then you can put your questions and such on top of, in there, and we can answer them live on the air, real time. Also, we got our phone numbers, 843-730-1534. For anybody wanting to call in, that goes from anyone in the playoffs to anybody who just recently lost and got out the playoffs, and give us your stand on what's coming on up for this Friday.
That's right, guys. Again, anywhere from around the state, you guys can call in, and we'll talk to you about your teams, guys. And but right now, I mean, it's a playoff season. I mean, if your team's lost, that's all right. I mean, but again, I mean, the guys are still in the playoffs right now. I mean, it's time to put your head down and drive forward.
Yeah, pin them ears back and start scratching your way to the top.
That's right.
All right, we're going to get on first up here, which will be South Point. We're going to go over some South Point stats and stuff for South Point. All right. All right, here we go. South Point's record 10-2. Their receiving yards per game is sitting right at 150 yards. Rushing per game is 215, totaling 52 touchdowns for the season so far.
Well, again, I mean, what more can you say about South Point in their last playoff game? I mean, they had a shutout. They won 30-0, and but Goose Creek coming off of a pretty big win, scoring 76 on Wade Hampton, who's a team that plays a lot of high-level football up there in the upstate. So should be a good ball game, that's for sure.
Yep. And getting on to Goose Creek here, our record is 12-0. Receiving yards per game is 115. Rushing per game is 397. Total for the offense so far on touchdowns is 75.
That's pretty impressive.
And yeah, pretty good. But anyway, getting back to South Point here, guys. South Point is more of it's like a geared defensive game machine. They play solid defense. They've been always known for their defense. Matter of fact, we know of a great player that come off of that team that plays for Carolina right now in the name of Jadeveon Clowney. So,
J.D. Clowney.
Yep, and they've always had a good defense, and they got a lot of guys that play both ways. I looked on their roster. There's a bunch of guys on their roster that say they're quarterbacks, receivers, and then if you go over and down their stat list and you see that they actually they show no stats for offense. They're all defense. So it was kind of tough getting some stats together for them guys as far as how their team plays and their top players for their team. But I did manage to get it.
Oh, well, I mean, again, to go back what Terry's saying about South Point, I mean, again, they're an upstate powerhouse, as most of the schools up there are. I mean, we know about Gaffney's and the Northwesterns and even Spartanburg's coming back around now, but South Point's not any team to take lightly. I'll tell you what, Gator fans, we got to be ready to strap up the chin straps this Friday night down at John Fulmer Field and get ready for South Point to call on down, and we'll see what happens.
Yep, and just to get on there, I'm going to go ahead and get on South Point stuff here. South Point, like I said, is a defensive team led by quarterback number 19, Burris, who has a total of 80 carries. He runs the ball pretty effectively.
Yeah, he's a very mobile quarterback.
Yeah, he's rushed for 585 yards. He has 7 TDs, and as far as his passing goes, he has a total of 121 attempts for 65 completions, 950 yards so far in the year, and that's in the air, guys.
That's right.
Yep, and with 12 TDs, 4 interceptions on top of that, and a quarterback rating of 99%. So I mean, he's no slouch. The guy knows how to play football, and that's pretty evident by the stats he's got right there. One of his running backs, number 2, last name by Bryce. I don't want to give first names out because that's just not really, worth it. But I'm just going to say number 2 is his number. Bryce is his last name. He had 167 carries. Also has 750 yards, for the year, averaging 4.5 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns to his credit, and that's pretty much their running game. Well, they got 2 more. They got number 30 with 49 carries for 270 yards and 3 touchdowns, and number 33, Emmanuel, who has 70 carries for 337 yards and several TDs on top of that.
Well, I mean, again, South Point's a very, very strong football team, guys. I mean, coming down here, I mean, Goose Creek's also an amazing, strong football team. But I'm gonna tell you what, guys. I mean, you cannot take anybody lightly right now, but especially this team. I mean, they're balanced on offense. Again, they pitched a shutout in their first playoff game last Friday night, so their defense is very stout. And we definitely got to be ready to play, that's for sure. But that being said, guys, Goose Creek also pitched a shutout, and we laid 76 down to their 30-0. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Also, some of his top receivers for number 19. All right. Looking at them, you got number 11, Brant's his last name, with 30 receptions for 410 yards. He's also averaging 14 yards per reception and has 6 TDs to his name. Next, you have number 81, which is his go-to man, Johnson, who has 37 receptions for 843 yards. He's also averaging 22.5 yards per game, per catch, and also has 11 touchdowns to his resume. Looking pretty good there. I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
They got air power and they got running power, so it's not like there's, It's nothing that we haven't come across yet, but definitely something you need to keep in the back of your mind when you're playing.
You have to, guys. I mean, I'm telling you again, we say it over and over, but this is one and done time, y'all. I mean, season's going to be over. I mean, you gotta bring your best effort out as you do every week during the season, but now you really, really do.
Yeah. Let's go on to South Point's defense. They have several different defensive standouts, and here they are. I mean, you got number 56 is their top guy. He's a defensive end named Matt Newman. He also has 30 solo tackles and 35 assisted tackles, followed by number 1, D. Williams, with 26 solo tackles, 18 assisted tackles. And then you got number 3, Jay Massey, with 27 solo tackles, 43 assists, and then you get down to number 93, which is a guy who's an athlete. They use him in several different positions, such as running back. He also passes the ball. I guess he does that when he's doing running back plays.
Yeah, he does.
And also plays on the defensive line. He goes by the name of Jay Rodney. He's number 93. Has 11 sacks on the year. He also has 22 solo tackles, 33 rushing yards, and 19 yards passing. Major scorer on South Point. I mean, he's a player. He's a player. Athletic. He's athletic too. So he's also 6'4" and weighs about 255. So he's not a slouch. And their major scorer on South Point, like I was telling you earlier, is number 81. He has 72 points to their total and 12 TDs. Other games, he's one of their star players. He's the guy he goes to all the time when he throws the ball.
Well, I mean, again, going back to what Terry said, speaking about South Point, I mean, everybody here that follows South Carolina football, Jadeveon Clowney came out of that school, guys. And unless you're laying underneath a rock, I mean, everybody knows who he is. But guess what, guys? He's not just a defensive end. He played tailback. He played tight end. He also played defensive end, which he plays now. But I tell you what, South Point has athletes, and we got to definitely watch out for that for sure.
Yeah. Other things we got going on, guys. We got some other games that are coming up too. That was just some of the highlights of South Point. Like I said, this is a statewide calling show, so we're going to brush over a couple other games, and hopefully we'll get some callers from them teams to call in and tell us what they think about the game coming up. First one we got off the rip, and this is what I'm going to say is South Florence versus Stratford. This is basically a rematch from 3 weeks ago now.
No, it's absolutely a super rematch.
The last meeting between the two, you had South Florence coming out on top, 28-14. I guess there was a rain, and I don't think the rain had anything to do with them losing. I just think South Florence, stepped it up and played better game. I mean, that's just flat out what I think on that subject.
Well, again, I mean, when South Florence came in and played Stratford, I mean, you had two undefeated teams, guys. I mean, and someone's got to come out on top. But South Florence is not any team to take lightly, but it's going to be a good chance for the Stratford Knights to get some revenge, and revenge is a big thing. So that's going to be a great game to see. That is for sure.
Yeah, and I saw somewhere, I can't remember, it was in a paper or something like that, or maybe it was on here, someone talking about something that Stackley put in a paper about, after they won the game against, who was it, Nations Ford, it was we finally get a chance to get some revenge on losing the game. So, they're actually, I mean, Stratford is a good team on adjusting. Very good team when it comes to switching schemes up. You're not going to see the same Stratford you saw 3 weeks ago going back up.
No,
to
I
South
agree
Florence.
100%. That's for sure.
Yeah, because they are one of the best teams in this area as far as adjusting besides us, and that shows with their record. And I'm sure Coach Stackley will have a game plan put together completely different from what it was a couple weeks ago when they went up to South Florence the first time at Bruin Stadium.
Yeah, agree 100%. But I'll tell you right now, I mean...
Yeah, it's Post and Courier. Thank you, Go Big Green.
That's
He was just letting me know it's from the Post and Courier. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always a difficult time when you play the same team twice in the playoffs. First, before the game.
Well, I mean, in a 3-week period as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
and sometimes if you've never played a team before, you get caught off guard because you don't really have an idea of what to expect from that team, and sometimes you get blindsided. Sometimes you do the blindsiding. But I think the South Florence, to borrow your term, better put the chin strap on because I think Stratford's going to come up to play.
I gotta like that too. I'm gonna agree with Terry on that. Not my being a little bit of a homer from being down here in Goose Creek, but I actually agree with Terry. I think Coach Stackley is going to have the Knights ready to play in Jacob Park and all their offensive power. I think South Florence has got a tough match this Friday night for sure.
Yep. And I'm going to tell you right now, and there's no knock on South Florence. I mean,
they did come in and beat the Knights.
I don't want to play the same team twice.
I don't either.
I mean, that just gets boring. But I would like to see South Florence win. But I mean, like I said, it's tough to beat the same team twice, especially when you got a coach who knows how to readjust and do stuff like that. And I just got a thing on here from one of our posters on the screen that said South Florence likes finding matchups that favor them, and they keep going back to it. So, that might be the case, and Stratford, I think, can adjust to that because they got some athletes on defense.
Well, they do.
And and then sometimes you can catch them off guard, and sometimes they'll get back at you real quick. So anyway, we'll go ahead and move off to that game. Next game we got coming up, this is basically another rematch, and a lot of people talking about this one. It's Northwestern versus York. Last meeting these two had, you had the Northwestern pull off the victory, 45-15.
Yeah, well, again, with that game, just like Terry said, between Northwestern and York, they are both high-powered